It's JP here again with Rue de la Rue Swanzor on behalf of the Dogs of the Chase in Exile by order of the Great High and Humble Dogger. Episode 5. This time, all about how a band of impulsive and reckless dogs chased a pair of cave lions into their subterranean lair. And what happened there, and what all of that has to do with the sinking of Doggerland from within, and how the great project's plausibility, at least one aspect of it, the whole bringing it up from the sea bottom part, is suggested by certain known details. Rue, despite the terrible burden of being the Chase in Exile's equivalent of Homer, if you will, the griot, the Shenanigans, Scald, keeper of lore, historian, repository of its distilled culture and history, is a light-hearted, winsome little monster. I call her Monster because Wiley, the great, high, and humble dogger himself, used that moniker to address her, sometimes affectionately, sometimes in irritation, and it suits not least because the word monster comes from the French verb mont, to show, and showing me and everyone the reality of dog's existence is her raison d'etre, more or less, insofar as the chase is concerned. As I say, notwithstanding that awesome responsibility, she is a sprightly and amiable monster whose delighted wagging and irrepressible rising to her back legs upon seeing her human sisters is a sight that always makes me glad. I tell myself that my simple-minded sentimentality isn't worth remarking. The enthused greetings of dogs are a cliché as worn, more worn, as any. That you surely will think it's the silliest thing imaginable for me to regard her gaping affection, her urgent total body undulation, the manic, panting enthusiasm of Rue's hellos as greater than the hellos of any other dog. She tells me you're right. She tells me it's time to get on with the story. She sees no point in dwelling on her sunny disposition or on her smile with its pink gladness and sharp white exclamations, considering the gravity of her furry head's contents, not to say the import of her very existence. Her egalitarianism takes me aback. Oh, she barks in abject embarrassment when I talk like this, and chews her green rubber ball for maximum squeakiness. So anyway, down they went. You probably know dogs see better than we do in the dark because of their tapetum lucidum. That's a kind of reflective surface in back of the retina that reflects light back through it. And so with those eyes and those noses all working together, and with characteristic recklessness, they descended down after those lions. Clumps of feathery roots hung from the ceiling's dusty gray. Sprays of fine soil rose with each lifted paw. Hours passed as teams of dogs followed dozens of trails. The scent of cat was everywhere. Deeper and deeper they followed. Who knows how far? How very far down, and how long they searched for the lions. Howls were common in that endless den, spacious chambers where cats had lolled, some with piles of splintered and tooth-marked bones of elk, and giant swans, and dogs, and people. Inevitably, a couple of the pack disappeared. and even the loudest howling didn't raise them. They were the two youngest dogs, a rangy, well-bred pair, litter mates from the pack of one of the chase's most renowned and respected leaders, smart and full of merit, with extremely keen noses and mouths full of strong teeth, that the chase expected them to eventually become dogs of note, contributed, along with their popularity and friendliness, to the duration and extent of the search. Rue says the chase gathered dozens of dogs by messenger, trackers, fighters, veterans of chases against cats, short-legged ones, long-eared ones, and some reputed to have learned the language and customs of cats by long infiltration. Portions of the cave were excavated and braced to accommodate staging areas for search parties and equipment. Lions within 4 days running were cornered by large teams and interrogated. 100 dog howls were mandated and carried out several times daily. Their favorite foods were piled inside all the known entrances. And on the morning of the 11th day, those dogs, let's call them Roe and Urf, just wandered up and started eating some ducks as if nothing had happened at all. And they said they had been underground for almost the whole time, but just that morning noticed they were in tunnels they recognized as part of the chase's redoubt, just outside the wall. West exit is where we came out, they said. So many questions. Well, that's episode 5, and we're closer now to finding out what happened that made Doggerland susceptible to the tsunami that finally pushed it under for good. Episode 6 is just beyond the end of our leash for the moment, but don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, or check back here in a few days when even more will be revealed by order of the great high and humble Dogger. On behalf of the dogs of the chase in Exile and the Great Project, this is JP with Rue de la Rue Swanzor. Till next time, be good. Thanks for listening.